Yo, so today I'm just going to be running through a little project that I built over the last couple of days for a friend, for a little business he might start. Basically, yeah, you can convert your normal bike into an electric bike by attaching a motor and doing all of the technicality stuff, all the technical hands-on stuff. He obviously does that, but I told him that I'd be able to create him a website. Now, obviously, it's a pretty cool idea, and having a website will certainly help transform a person of interest into an actual client. Um, Now, one of the parts to this business is that different size bikes and different brands, etc., will need a different battery. So it's kind of a build it yourself type thing. Now, obviously, the styling hasn't been done. It's not looking very pretty, but functionality wise, I've basically created a form which is very, very reactive. State changes, as you'll see. So, what type of brakes do you have? Rim brakes. Uh, Total price calculating. What size frame do you have? You select the frame depending on your choice. Again, it's all very reactive, and we're changing the state as this is occurring. Um, and yeah, so the way that I've done it is I've done it using Svelte. So Svelte, why did I try Svelte? Just because I've heard a lot of very good reviews, and to be honest, it lived up to its reviews. I quite enjoyed doing this little app. I'm certainly trying to improve my Svelte. Essentially, we've just got this single page app. It's probably how I'm going to keep the main project as well. And got just this calculator component which essentially contains our two questions, brakes and frame. Obviously, in production, this is going to change and it'll be more specific. And what have we got? We've got a few functions. So the first thing I want to go over are these conditionals. And this is what, if when I restart the page, as you can see, nothing is shown. Starting causes this div to be revealed, and answering this question causes the next div to be revealed. We do this by using these conditionals, and you can do that in Svelte by doing these if statements. So like curly braces, hashtag if, and then the condition. The condition here is started. So we've initially declared started to be false, and then by pressing that start button on click, started equals true. This then becomes true. Break is now being displayed. Got a nice little CSS animation which got added to that. So using these global techniques, I'll brush over that in a second. Next one is the this conditional here. So now it's basically saying, okay, same syntax, but if the break value is true, break value we've initially declared as an empty string, which is obviously false. Now this is a prop, and again, this is a method that I've been using to make it very reactive. But yeah, this is technically a prop. As you can see, we're passing it into the brakes component using this bind method. So bind selected brake equals brake value, and this is we've essentially created a two-way mother, parent, and child like prop flow. So props can go from the child to the parent and from the parent to the child. Now, if I go into our brakes felt, obviously it's a radio list. So just to make things kind of as automatic as possible, uh, I'm just looping through. So this is the syntax used to loop through an array, let's say. So we've got an array of all the different brakes, the types of brakes, whether they're disc brakes or rim brakes or V brakes. And for each of the brakes as brake, this is obviously just a loop, pretty much a for each. And then what we're saying, yeah, the value is literally just the brake. And we're using this bind group. Now, bind group, as it pops up, it's available for radio and type checkbox. This is because it kind of groups the values together. It takes them within context of the other ones as well. So, for example, we've passing in the value is to be the brake here. Now, by using this particular binding, whatever the selected radio is kind of the brake, and this is bind group selected brake, and over in our calculator we're saying we're kind of comparing it with that one there. So bind the selected brake, and that equals the property. So that's how we then change it in the thing above, because it's reacting from in the breaks component is changing over here. That equals selected break. Now we've got selected break as also being bound to this break value. Break value is just a variable which can change. You'll probably be able to see it a bit better in this frame Svelte, where it's actually, so what have we got over here? Well, we've got a slider. Now obviously slider is, I suppose, where there's only one option, as opposed to it's different. There's three options here, whereas here there's obviously many different options, but it's one kind of one. Sorry, my hands are disgusting because I opened a pen which had loads of ink on it accidentally. Now, yeah, there's only kind of like one operation, I suppose, as opposed to here that there's three. So yeah, one input tag, I guess. So we can specifically bind this value using this. Again, it's just inbuilt into Svelte. Bind value equals selected frame. Over in our calculator, we're saying bind selected frame onto the frame value. The frame value is by default 0. Now, this is how we're passing props from up to bottom. And actually, as you can see, once I refresh it, so frame answer is 0, but if I change the prop over here, frame answer 100, there we go. It's always been passed down, and when we get to that point, it can update from the child up. There is a way where you can kind of make it just parent of adult, and you can kind of remove the other thing, but we're not going to get into that. What we will get into is this thing here. So this $ price, calculate price. Now this is really, really cool. So this $ essentially says, okay, this variable react to whenever these inputs change. So we've got our break value and frame value. Obviously these are dynamically generated, and whenever these changes, it's going to call the calculate price function, just a function for price. This is kind of I'm not really going to go into that. That's kind of just basic functions. However, yeah, whenever these change, then it calculates the price, and then the price is also then injected over here. Price. Now, I think this is a sweet little feature. I think typically you'd have to, in React, I think this is the equivalent to a use effect hook, I think, and then you kind of put like the dependency or whatever to be the variable. But yeah, that's React. This is Svelte, and it was pretty nice and easy. I'm not going to lie, actually, it was, figuring out the props thing and the two-way props, that was I'm still getting my head around that, but obviously with practice that will come. But I think I've captured pretty much everything that I'd like to go through. Obviously, guys, look, if there's anyone who thinks that there's cool ways to improve what I've done, like, really, I'm really open to constructive criticism. But yeah, quickly, this CSS animation, this is essentially just okay, yeah, we'll talk about the global styles because this is pretty cool. So we've got this calculator here, and I've just created this global CSS style. You can also quite easily integrate Sass and quite easily do TypeScript. I'm going to start doing some more TypeScript with Svelte for sure. But then yeah, so I've got this global class, and this global class here, reveal container, reveal text, and this is just, I could just call it over here. Usually in Svelte they're scoped. The CSS is usually scoped into this particular module. However, when you prepend it with global, then obviously it actually becomes a global class styling, so you can apply it anywhere. So I've just done it there, reveal text, and then obviously that's kind of where that slide animation comes from. Just done it so that it slides out first and then it fades in. And yeah, using just keyframes and that. So yeah, that's pretty much this little project. Just wanted to create some content and post it, so that's why I've done this. But I've got some more Hash Connect, Hash Pack stuff coming out soon as well.